Love those scenes from beautiful Gulfstream Park as we launch from the starting gate. It's a Thursday. Kind of feels to many of us racetrackers like a Wednesday, but indeed a Thursday on this May 25th. Good to have you. A little overcast in South Florida. It's Jason Blue and Acacia Courtney. Welcome back. The gang is all here today. Pete Aiello upstairs calling the action. You and Ron back from Pimlico and had Preakness 142 treat you.
Oh, it was great. I mean, I was so totally exhausted after that. I was actually there about a week, but fantastic people in Maryland, too, on top of everything, not to mention fantastic racing. So really exciting both Friday and Saturday, and getting to see cloud computing and talk to the connections afterwards. Top to bottom, great day, but as I said, really takes it all out of you, but lots of fun.
Well, you had 3 dark days. Keep in mind, 3 dark days, so no excuses, no ring rust today for Acacia as we get back in the swing of things. And although we are starting the racing week here at Gulfstream Park on a Thursday, a little odd, and this doesn't happen too often throughout the year, keep in mind it is the beginning of a 5-day racing week because Monday is Memorial Day.
Yes, it is. But first of all, tomorrow, Beat the Expert. We almost forgot about that because I maybe wanted to forget it, but I'm the expert and I am up on Friday. I think you had your debut Beat the Expert last week, but every Friday we do this, so go to our Facebook page and enter. We have 9 races on tomorrow's card. Use hashtag Beat the Expert. Let us know that you're playing. You can get one of those great polo shirts, and that's me trying to look intimidating.
Very intimidating. Almost doesn't even look like the Acacia Courtney that I know. And if we keep this up, we might run out of polo shirts. 3 winners last Friday. I think I had 3 or 4 winners on the card, and that was not good enough. Number of sharp fans, to say the least, and horse players playing Gulfstream Park, and we're happy about that. And of course, as far as the racing week goes at Gulfstream Park, we do have that Memorial Day program on Monday. We'll see how many races are drawn, but do mark your calendar. May 29th, we want you right out here with us, beginning at around 1:15.
And it should be a great racing day, as always, and you can see some Memorial Day specials: $2 burgers, hot dogs, chips, soda, and water. You can have that all-you-can-eat barbecue buffet at 10 Palms. That happens from 12 to 4, so come on out here early, get something to eat, get a couple drinks, get ready for the racing action starting at 1:15.
Some final Preakness thoughts. It is kind of old news, but again, we haven't been together since before you left for Pimlico. Give us your quick synopsis of the Preakness.
Well, it was interesting. I keep telling this story because I was in the indoor paddock, Gabby Gaudet, out on the turf course, and the horses were 60-40 saddled inside versus outside. So 6 horses for the Preakness saddled inside the indoor paddock, 4 out on the turf course.
Why is that?
Some of them just prefer to saddle inside. All of the jockeys get a leg up out on the turf course, so it was up to the trainers. Always streaming, Todd Pletcher opting to saddle him inside the indoor paddock, Classic Empire as well, and cloud computing. And I was watching the horses be saddled and walking around and making little notes on my iPad about each of them. And on cloud computing, I just wrote gorgeous. And that was pretty much all I had to say. He just looked very composed, looked very professional. And I think skipping the Kentucky Derby was really the big key for him. He just came in fresh and so ready to go. Hats off to Chad Brown for that. But Classic Empire ran a huge race. He really inherited the lead early, and I thought that he'll be certainly one throughout the rest of the year to have a lot of success.
Yeah, and might just be, I mean, it's both Classic Empire and looking at Lee, it seems like they might be the 2 lone men standing as far as running in all 3 legs. We'll focus in down the road in New York as they gear up for their Belmont Stakes, but we're with you at Gulfstream Park. And here's a little rundown. We're all about friendly reminders as we start this 9-race card. We get into the dollar rolling super high 5 with no carryover in race number 1 today at around 1:15. And again, we did have some rain, some pregame rain. As a result, the main is sloppy. We are on the turf for the first. That is listed as good. And what else is going on today here?
Well, we have the early pick 5 starting in the first as well. Just a 50-cent wager, always a good one. And then Rainbow 6, I think that's the big story today. $333,000 plus in that carryover. So I'll take a stab at that. Just a 20-cent wager. Really fun sequence today. I think you can find a single, and then we'll cap it off with your pick 5.
Indeed, some good-sized fields throughout the afternoon at Gulfstream Park. Just a 9-race card, and we dive without further ado right into the first race as we start things out on some rain-softened turf, listed as good. Field of 9 ready to go in this 3-and-up $35,000 to $25,000 maiden claimer. Now, as far as the number 4 Porter Street, I do think there are 2 camps. You either think he he's just better than these as he makes his first start for Frank Calabrese and Angel Rodriguez, or he is a horse that might be a bit vulnerable. I used him somewhat defensively as far as the early pick 5 goes, and we'll take a look at that play right now. In fact, 1, 4, 8, the 3 they're betting are the 3 I'm going to use. Moving on to the second race, I think it's fair to say, Acacia, we had our biggest scratch on the card, most important one in the form of the 2 Lil Meatball. With him out, he might have been a single had he stayed in, but I'll use the 1 Chief Envoy and the 3 Right Squall. Moving on to race number 3, it is a wickedly tough filly and mare claimer on the dirt, and you and I have some disagreements in there. We'll spend some time talking about the third. I am going to anchor this early pick 5 that cost $24 with the 7, Lil's Fast Boy. I'm waiting for horses to run back that competed on the dirt May 12th and May 13th. I thought he ran very well over a track that was very kind of early speed. And we'll wrap it up using, I think, the best horse in race number 5 in the 6 Giants Voice. And just in case speed is good today on the grass, I do think the speed of the speed is the 8 BK Master Key. So a $24 play. We'll single Lil's Fast Boy in race number 4. And getting back to Porter Street, you think he's going to prove best here, or you think he's a little bit vulnerable, at least as far as the W column? Where do you stand, as this horse was obviously and quite obviously purchased privately off Coolmore and no longer with them and Wesley Ward?
Well, I used him on top, and the main thing is because of the class relief. I normally don't take horses that consistently finish close to the winner's circle but just can't seem to get there. But he's getting the class relief, and he moves into a barn that has success in placing horses in the right spot. Now, turf, maybe first out of the trainer switch, first time off the claim or something like that, is not the most productive move for this barn when you narrow it down to the grass. But he does get the class relief. He's been beaten as the favorite, but I thought that race last time was strong considering how he closed, where he had previously sat much closer to the pace on the synthetic. So we'll see how he does on the turf with that drop in class again. I wouldn't single him to start, as he does promise to be a short price, but I did think if he's going to win, this would be the spot.
Fair enough. I do think he catches a pretty tough, and granted, I've been here for about 5 minutes, but I do think this is probably above par for this maiden 35, because you do have a number of other drop downs in the race who are taking that special weight to maiden 35 claiming dip. Now, Tyler Gaffleone will ride the 4 Porter Street. He's got 55 wins at the meet, your #1 rider here this spring and summer. And we got to say congratulations to jockey Edgar Zayas and his wife giving birth to Lillian Rose Zayas. Saw that last night on Twitter. Healthy, beautiful baby girl. Absolutely. And I like Edgar here in the first. It just isn't right that a horse named for the great Jaromir Jagr, big number 68, and one that is by one of my favorite horses of all time, and Uncle Mo, is running in a maiden 35. But it's the nature of the game. But I like this horse off a trainer change to Lisa Lewis, who's 4 for 18. With her newest acquisitions off a trainer change over the last 5 years for 22%. And I'm going to take, I can't pick against Jagr, one of my favorite professional hockey players and athletes of all time. Jagr for me in the first. And I think the gals, Michelle Nihei and Lisa Lewis, have got a stacked hand here as GQ cover-up goes from the rail.
Certainly could. And Lisa Lewis does an excellent job on the turf, particularly with sprinters. Now, this one is trying the turf for the first time. As you said, by Uncle Mo, definitely had some higher hopes for him. Now, first time on the turf at the maiden claiming level for the barn in the past 5 years. It is 0 for 9, but that being said, I do think, again, that she is a very good turf conditioner. So I will agree with that. Now, the 2 Osvaldo is adding the blinkers on. I use this one for my trifecta. I think this one will be the inside speed for sure.
All right, fair enough. Could play out that way beneath Manny Vasquez and Osvaldo with the blinkers on. One of quite a few horses entered on today's card for trainer Antonio Sano. So we get on to race number 2, field of 6, that aforementioned early scratch of the 2, and it's a big one. Number 2, Lil Meatball, may have been in odds-on territory today had he stayed in. I got to tell you, Lil Meatball and I think Papa Pig have emerged as maybe my 2 favorite local horses.
You joined the club.
Yeah, there's some silly, cute names down here at Gulfstream Park. But anyway, he'll wait another day. Now, it concerns me in this race that the 1 Chief Envoy has got to go from the rail. He had an outside post or a post towards the outside in a 5-horse field most recently. on May 6th. We will backtrack and show you that effort he is likely going to deal with, and that's clearly him highlighted in the red circle, but he's probably going to have to deal with the Keisha, the 4 Sher Khan, and the 7 Zachary's pitch. I think that might soften him up.
It certainly could, and I actually think that Sher Khan is not a need the lead type. I don't know if the plan is perhaps to try and pressure Chief Envoy, who certainly will go from the rail, but Zachary's pitch to the outside, I imagine, will send. That's really been his MO for his past couple of starts. I just thought Chief Envoy was impressive pulling away last time out. And something that I think is good about Luca Panici is a very good clock in his head. He can put them to sleep on the front end or just kind of gauge what kind of pressure he's getting from the outside. So I admit I did scratch into this horse, but I do respect the connections. Now, talking about Sher Khan, I think the biggest thing for him is the drop in class. Tactically, I agree with you. Interested to see what he does.
Yeah, indeed. They do cut him basically in half here, Sher Khan, as Manny Vasquez live in both halves of the early double. The running style and the plotting nature of the 3 right squall worries me a bit over this track. Now, we did see, and I thought we wrapped up Sunday's card. You weren't here, but it was a track that was very kind to early speed. Horses were having tough times making up significant ground when it mattered. Now, we've had 3 dark days. We've also got a completely different sloppy track than the one we had here on Sunday. But all that being said about his grinding, plotting style, he likes it wet. And this is the first horse I think I've ever seen by Country v. Gold, who maybe some of the fans up in New York will remember. Danced a lot of dancers, and he's got a son here who's a 10-year-old gelding.
And
tough all the way.
A 9-time winner on a wet track, as you said. Comes out of a strong race, too. 3 next out winners, so maybe the key race will carry him home.
All right, on the main track, once again, we keep it short and sweet. 6 furlongs with this field of 9. These are 3 and up filly mares, tagged at 30 to 25,000. Having looked at this race, and I'm sure you spent, as did I, quite a few minutes in capping and analyzing race number 3, I felt a little bit better when I saw Jay Stone's morning line, and he's got the favorite at 7-2. So it's just that kind of race where I would be tempted, especially with the wet going, to potentially buy this race and just hit the all button. Now, a number of horses are coming in off respectable efforts, including the one Threat, who was picked up exactly 2 weeks ago on the day by Saffie Joseph Jr. via the claim box. Here's an effort most recently of Threat as we go back to that effort over a fast track on May 11th.
And she was bet down 90 cents to the dollar there. You can see her in the Gelfenstein colors on the outside. Gilberto Zerpa did a great job in getting her in the right spot. She looked like turf was where she wanted to be. He switched her back to the dirt, and she just pulled away impressively like that.
Now, she is taking a big jump up in class. She was authoritative last time out, but again, she beat 12-5 claimers, and she did so at 4-5 with sort of that cozy outside tracking trip. Today, a different ball game, running against a much tougher field for 30K. We've got a little stat here to show you, and this is for a barn, by the way, that has batted basically upwards of 30 and 35% on the year. But this is, I think, a good nugget here, first off the claim, with horses taking that 50% rise in class.
It is, and I wanted to narrow this in, and I think that Saffie does an excellent job, and all of his horses look great coming to the track. But first off the claim, with that tag jump over the past 5 years, just 1 for 7, 4 out of 7 finishing in the money, and a negative ROI. And I do expect this horse will take money just because of the connections, but I think she has to send from the rail, and I think she's got a lot more other speed in here to deal with, primarily Little United, and even probably Princess Nola as well has speed. And just thinking she might fall a little bit short against this level.
Fair enough, and Princess Nola does appear to be a major pace player, 1 of 2 in the race, and I'm not really buying that breakout 70 buyer that she got most recently at 5.5 furlongs. That was a sort of an angle and a nugget Andy Serling up in New York turned me on to. 5.5, 6.5 furlong races, at least on the buyer scale, at times are kind of figures that may come back a little elevated, and they're tough to predict, and I do think that might be the case with the 5 Princess Nola. But that being said, you've got Antonio Sano, who's got the speedy Princess Nola, and a horse in Truge, who you like quite a bit here. They complement one another quite nicely, considering she's dropping in class and does her best from off the pace.
They do, and I told you this before we came on. I've been waiting for Truce to drop in class because I think that she does have a lot of talent. She finished a couple times behind Who's the Lady, who did actually ship up and face stakes competition at Pimlico and Preakness weekend, a horse that was just in great form, winning 4 in a row for Kathleen O'Connell. And then she seemed to kind of falter a little bit in her last couple of starts. I've been waiting for her to take that drop in class, and I think the connection still had hope for her. But allowance to claiming in dirt sprints for Sano is 22% in the win column and 61% in the money, nearly even ROI. But I just think that this one might finally be in a right spot. She can be overlooked in the wagering, and you might get a better price on her.
Yeah, and her only start on an off track happened to be a stakes race during the championship meet back in December, won by the Todd Pletcher train, Bodie's Dream, a much easier crew here today for 30,000. Next to her, I'll try to shake things up, and this is kind of a stab. I'm hoping you get some improvement, and she's probably going to have to, indeed, she's going to have to step up her game off a maiden 20 score with the 8 Charlie Secret. I like the post. I don't think she's a need-to-lead kind of horse, and I was encouraged with the way, yes, she beat Little, but she gapped out that field most recently, and they were really strung out in the wake of the 8 Charlie Secret. I think she's properly spotted first time against winners, and I'm going to try to shake things up on the tote board in the third, my friend.
And if you could get 15-1 on the Cassie barn in a race like this, that might not be a bad way to go. It was a nice race last time, so we'll see how she faces winners.
Yeah, real class test today, but again, I think properly spotted first time against winners. We'll take a little time out. It's all about 333,000 plus. Plenty of turf on the card as well. We'll have Acacia's ticket and plenty more after this quick break.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
Back at it here at Gulfstream Park. Little Thursday edition of Gulfstream today. Acacia and Jason joining you right outside the village, right in front of our walking ring and the beautiful fountain on a day where the early morning pregame rain that we've gotten, to be fair, and we hope you're in some comfy air conditioning, not too bad out here.
No, not too bad at all. I'm actually very comfortable right here on the set right now, so hopefully things only go up throughout the rest of the day.
All right, and we continue to go up, much like the Rainbow Six carryover has over the last few weeks. In fact, this has been one of the neat sort of highlights for me, being sort of a Gulfstream rookie, watching this pool day by day. And we've had some singles in the nightcap sprinkled here and there, mostly horses who were big prices and didn't do much running. But who knows? Today is a new day, sloppy and good as of now. And what's your play looking like?
All right, well, I do have a single. We'll give you a look at my ticket. I was joking 43.20, the Ron Nicoletti magic number in terms of the Rainbow Six price. But I wanted some coverage in this first race. I thought it was one that you maybe wanted to go a little bit deeper in. So I used 4 horses in the first leg, just 2 in the 5th race, and then using my single going to hinge in race number 6 with Better Be Fast. Again, class strap, hoping Angel Rodriguez has a good day today. Just trying to keep things affordable. Then 3, 3, and 3. Once again, $43.20.
I like the looks of that. The magic number, 43.20, and maybe the biggest bonus on today's card, Ron Nicoletti is back from Pimlico Race Course. He'll be joining us for the First and Beyond at around 1 o'clock. Now moving on, race number 4. Again, 6.5 furlongs. We're on the dirt with this field of 7. These are 3 and up, 12-5 maiden claimers. Talk to me about the number 9, Magic Mac, who's got to transfer that form against much better as far as the maiden claiming ranks go and prices from Tampa Bay over to Gulfstream Park.
Well, I think that Monty Thomas does a good job coming in from Tampa. Saw some of his runners here last summer and fall as well, and they often come to the racetrack looking very well prepared, and he was a very big price in his debut race on the dirt. So if you're looking just at dirt form, he's technically going from that maiden race, the 6 furlongs on the dirt. He'll now try the 12-5, 6.5 furlongs here at Gulfstream. So I think he's spotted well. He's faced tougher foes on the turf, actually not running too badly, but turf to dirt at the maiden maiden claiming level. Some good percentages, 4 for 29, so not the hugest win percent, but 48% in the money. Thought I'd take a stab with the outside runner.
Not the only Tampa Bay shipper and runner in today's fourth race. Wild Little Kitten, New York bred by Kitten's Joy, coming out of a fast second-place finish. And I say fast, relatively speaking, got a 40 buyer that day, but it was a big step in the right direction at Tampa Bay Downs on April 29th, and a horse who pretty much passed close to the entire field. What did you make of this race for maiden 7?
I did think it was a good performance from this one. Now, as you just said, the question of how he'll be able to transfer that form to this level will be the biggest test in here, but it really didn't look like he was close at all, and he made up ground with a lot of good energy at the end. So I think that that's encouraging. Just some questions of how he'll be able to transform and face this field.
Well said there. Post number 2, Acacia, with Luca Panici riding. Now I'm looking for a horse who is 0 for 10. Normally I prefer lighter raced horses, no matter what the maiden level is, but I thought the 7, Lil's Fast Boy, really ran well in defeat last time, and I'm looking for horses early on in my little tenure here at Gulfstream Park who were trying to make up ground and were closing or attempting to close off the pace on May 12th and May 13th. I thought the main track was very kind of speed those 2 racing days, and at face value, a very good effort in defeat most recently for the 7, Lil's Fast Boy, so much so that I singled him in the early pick 5. So 9-4-2 for Acacia, 7-4-9 for me, and we'll get on to race number 5 as we kick off the late pick 5 on the program here. 3 and up, $10,000 claimers on the turf, 7.5 furlongs, and a real favorite coming up. In fact, Acacia, when you consider Better Be Fast in race 6 and Giant's Voice here in race number 5, this is a double that should it come in, will not be paying a lot of money. He is way, way, way the horse to beat.
He absolutely is, and I almost singled this one in my Rainbow 6 too. I used a little bit of coverage, but did you single to start off?
No,
I'm wondering.
as even though, and we'll put that ticket up, but even though I think Giant's Voice is way the horse to beat, there was just something about him that said he might just be a trap because he was a private buy. He's no longer trainer Todd Pletcher as he debuts for Angel Quiroz. I'll use, just in case the 8, BK Master Key, gets loose on the lead. He's probably going to control. It's a question of whether he can get brave enough to wire them, but I'll use him as a backup, so to speak. I'm sure a lot of people will be singling the 6, Giant's Voice. We're going to single the 2, Better Be Fast, who's aptly named, and I think is the speed of the speed in race number 6, going 5 on the turf, and then it's just a 2-bagger from there on out. Bama Bound and the number 7, High Quality Prince in the 7th. In race number 8, we'll use the grudge match rematch with the 4, Diaz and the 6, Perfect Tay, and wrapping it up with the 3, John's Approval, who's coming out of a good effort. And I think the 9, Wildcat Saint, I know you agree, is super dangerous and very logical in the nightcap. But getting back to the crew here in race number 5, you do have the former Todd Pletcher factor in play here with the 6, Giant's Voice. Clearly a tough guy to, whether you're claiming or buying one off Todd, you're going to have a tough time improving that horse, male or female. The good news here, and this is not a knock on trainer Angel Quiroz, got a couple wins at the meet. I like, though, that he's running this horse back less than 2 weeks after the private buy.
I think it's a good sign as well. And I actually, it's interesting, I was speaking to Angel Quiroz just a couple weeks ago about horses that he was trying to get into his barn to build up his stable. He does have a limited number of runners, but he's had some very nice wins with the stock that he does have. So this one, Giant's Voice, moving into his barn, tough beat last time out, just beat in a neck. And he's actually, this horse has run well against tougher company. So if he runs back to any sort of that back class that he has, now he did have a win 2 back where he wired the field. I actually think he's a little bit more effective coming from just off the pace. So if the other horse that you mentioned in the number 8, BK Master Key, does wire, that might make it a little harder for Giant's Voice, but I thought he's tactical enough. And to the rail, the one that I used in the Exacta D Shiflet, I think this horse has some speed and could potentially send from the rail. Now, I don't know about the win column. He is 0 for 5 on the turf, but I do think his speed might help him hold on for a share.
Well, that would certainly, potentially, theoretically speaking, help the 6, Giant's Voice, who is probably you know, good-sized field on the turf or not in odds-on territory in race number 5. And again, that could be the beginning of a very short price rolling turf double here at Gulfstream Park on to race number 6, which features the number 2 Better Be Fast, which this one, by the way, a 3-and-up filly mare, 12-5 maiden claimer. We'll look at Better Be Fast, who's by keyed entry and does have that speed to control here this afternoon beneath Tyler Gaffleone for trainer Angel Rodriguez. They picked this horse back, or I should say up, off an effort here in a narrow loss on April 14th as we go back and backtrack here with the spotlight.
And yes, as you said, this was a tough beat for this one. Unfortunately, her last 2 races have been very tough beats. You can see she's still a little bit green in the stretch. Now, she has had 5 starts. I think that maybe she was just a little bit of a slower learner. She is a filly that does get a little bit keyed up in the afternoons, but then when she gets on the track, she's really all business. And I think the class relief is going to help her here, too. She was trying, might have hung a little bit last time.
She did hang. She had the winner dead to rights and had dead aim and just couldn't get by her. That might be an issue here, to say the least. The fact that she's got the 4 seconds from the 5 starts. Again, though, they're getting very aggressive. We're seeing Frank Calabrese drop a number of horses, and she can be yours today for 12.5 at a very short price. In your eyes, who's the main danger? If Better Be Fast hangs or just isn't good enough, doesn't show up on rain-softened ground, is the 7 Alley Sister Cap the one to look at?
Maybe so. I had a lot of interest in the 8 Flying Queen. Now, she is a scratch in here, so I do use the 7 Alley Sister Cat, who's a bit of an unknown in here. She's going to try the turf now. She's by Awesome, of course, second-time starter for Antonio Sano. And I think from the Sano barn, the more races that horses have, the more they improve. She found a sloppy track in her debut, but Zaya stays aboard. She stays at the same level, so we'll see if that surface switch at a price can help her.
All right, we're Better Be Fast as we have 5 minutes left here on Gulfstream today. Pete Aiello will be coming up next with scratches and changes. But for now, we've got 3 more. It's 6 down, 3 to go. Race number 7, our final dirt race on the card, is a rare 2-turn event here on the dirt. They'll break right in front of the stands. Always a cool thing. Iona 16th, main track. These are 3-and-up 6250 claimers and a familiar group of horses who certainly have relationships, you would think. You know, it's that old Harvey Pack saying, you get the feeling and you wonder, both in the paddock and going to the starting gate, if some of these horses are chatting to one another because they have faced each other consistently at Gulfstream Park. And 4, in fact, ran back on April 23rd, much like today. Very sloppy track. Bama Bound carved out the pace that afternoon and was picked up via the claim box by trainer Ralph Zadie. How about the effort here on April 23rd out of Bama Bound? I do think it's worthwhile, though, looking at the trip the 5 in Avanti got, because he really tried to rip the rug away from Bama Bound and came up short.
He did. Well, Innovante looked like he was going to be the horse to beat because he had come off a very strong second at the fairgrounds in the slop after that. I just thought it was a huge performance from Bama Bound. He was the number 7 that day. You can see him far back while Innovante was pressing the pace the entire time. So he did a lot of the dirty work in that race. But Bama Bound, 2-time winner on the wet track. I thought he made up a lot of ground really nicely in that race. And just thinking he absolutely is the one to beat.
Yep, as he goes off the claim again for trainer Ralph Zadie, who, by the way, last 30 days at Gulfstream Park, he's 7 for his last 12. It's been fairly quiet over the last 60 months or so as far as claims. Just 19 starters with 5 wins, but appropriately spotted as the 2 Bama Bound. And I'm thinking with the barn change and a wet track that he is the one they've got to get around. Avanti, again, had a tough trip back on April 23rd. He's now with a trainer I'm very unfamiliar with. High-quality Prince can handle a wet track despite the 0 for 9 tab. He's where I went for second. You'll go to the 3 Kamsa Fu, who's coming out of some much tougher races.
Much tougher, and this is my long shot play of the day. I did use him in the exacta. I think Bama Bound's going to be hard to beat, but Kamsa Fu, he's been very successful at this level. Yes, he's facing open 6250 company, but he's gone through his conditions with the 6250 very quickly and by open length, so maybe at a price he might be able to one to take a second look at.
All right, we'll see if you've got a price for us in race number 8, Acacia. Race, in fact, on the turf, which will kick off the opening leg of an all-green late double here as we go the Iona 16th with this 3-and-up optional claiming race. And we do so with a couple of horses who really put on a good show most recently. And you're going to try to upset the 4 Diaz and the 6 Perfect Day. You get the feeling going through this card again that Frank Calabrese and Angel Rodriguez are really throwing some heavy artillery at this card. They have got a number number of live short-priced horses on the program, including Perfect Tay, who, as we go back, we can look at his race just a few weeks ago on May 3rd against Diaz. Take us through.
It was. He's trying to get out of second gear in there. So you can see the number 5 Diaz at the back. Perfect Tay, the 2, is up to the front. And I almost wonder if Perfect Tay is going to be the main speed in this race, if he's just going to kind of inherit the lead. I haven't really seen anybody else in here that looks like he's going to be the main pace setter. But Diaz closing on the outside. He's a horse that's just been in very good form lately, getting 2 in a row, while poor Perfect Tay has been stuck in second gear. We'll see if they can flip-flop today.
Yeah, I'm hoping Perfect Tay's got his number today. I put him on top of the 4 Diaz, who I just think in the talent department are the best 2 in the race. You, however, have a different idea. You're going to head down to the rail. You'll take a 6-year-old gelding by Reddy's Image. I've been very impressed, and that's the one cut to order we're talking about the quality work trainer Armando de la Cerda's done. Very sharp guy, and what do you like about cut to order?
Well, I've been chasing cut to order for a while, and he did, yes, finish behind Perfect Tay in his last couple of starts. But I think he's a horse that just hasn't gotten the right pace set up, and I think he's one that needs to be closer to the pace. I hope that Jorge Ruiz sits a stalking trip from the inside rail post today. I think that he's much more successful when he can stalk a little bit closer. If you look at his race against Acknowledge and Boca Scuttlebutt a couple starts back. So I'm certainly taking a stab here and taking a guess, because Perfect Tay and Diaz are the tougher ones to beat. But I like the connections in here. He comes out of strong races, and he's not necessarily going to be given anything easier if there is that pace scenario that I said. But I hope from the rail he stalks and is just sitting in a good spot.
And we've got a stat quickly here because we are running out of time. Perfect Tay, what's the story here with the stat and Angel Rodriguez?
Well, maybe this is me talking myself out of my top pick, but Angel Rodriguez over the past year on the turf within the money last time out, incredibly strong number. So once again, the horse to beat. He's 24% win, 65% in the money, positive ROI of 205. If he runs away from the field and wires, he could do it. If he doesn't get that pace setup or is once again in second gear, I looked for an alternative.
Well, that stat tells me he keeps his horses in good form and good shape, and they continue to hold their form consistently good down the line. Race number 9, as we, of course, get out of here quite quickly. We will get you those scratches and changes with Pete upstairs momentarily, but 3 and up, maiden $25,000 claimers finish off the program. I do think that the 3 John's Approval ran well in defeat last time, and I would look for him to run another good one as perhaps the Lone Speed getting back on the turf. But we like the Florida bred who's coming home. A Midwest flair and flavor, no question about it, with the 9 Wildcat Saint. He's back in Florida, state he was bred in. Big drop in class.
Very big drop in class, and the blinkers do go on. So I expect this horse to be more forwardly placed than he has been lately. I think that the drop in class is needed after his race last time out against State Bred Maiden Special Weight, and we've talked about this before. Leo Gabriel Jr. doing a great job of shipping horses in and spotting them right.
Yep, as long as they're set up to succeed in realistic spots, they'll run well. We've seen it time and time again with the Tampa Bay Shippers and this newly begun spring-summer meet at Gulfstream Park that continues with the scratches and changes on a wet Thursday. Here's track announcer Pete Aiello.